So today we're going to find out how to put a dual sump on a reef tank. Hey guys, Devin with ReefDudes, and today Curtis writes in and he's setting up a 125 gallon tank and he currently has a 40 breeder he's using for a sump. He doesn't think it's going to be good enough, so he wants to see if he can add a second 40 breeder, combine the two, and ask kind of how I'd set it up, how I'd work the refugium, all the different chambers, the plumbing and whatnot. So let's take a bit of a look and kind of see how I would set it up. I actually have done a couple dual sump systems before and assisted on that, so we'll kind of give you a bit of an idea. So here's your standard 40 breeder, which is 36 by 17ish, I believe. Given you're a 120, I'm gonna assume you're gonna put them end to end. So let's take that, we'll copy it over. We have a second tank. So here's your dual sumps. Now we need to connect the two together. So for that, I would always recommend using as large of a pipe as you can. So I'm gonna say 3-inch would be, you could probably get away with 2, it depends on your drains and your overflow, but 3-inch should be safe, never have an issue. So either you can use either a bulkhead or a uni seal, and that should work great for that. So let's connect them with a 3-inch pipe. All right, so we got our 3-inch pipe in there. Next, we got to do our filter sock holder. So generally, depending on left to right, right to left, you could flip it around, but I'll generally make a filter sock holder. So we'll add in our filter sock. Do that. Next, you have your baffle wall, and you got to have somewhere for your overflow to come in. So this is similar how I designed mine. So I have my overflow pipes come into the side chamber here. It will spill over into the overflow sock. And we've got to do a little cutout on the bottom. So generally this chunk would be raised up so water can flow under. You want to have a bit of a lip on the top so that if water ever overflows, it's going to come over top of the sock. So next we got to figure out the rest for chambers. So after the filter sock, I generally like to put the skimmer. So I'd use this chamber for the skimmer, media reactors, any of that type of stuff. And you want to have your chaeto, your refugium after the skimmer. So your little bugs, critters aren't getting sucked into it. You'd rather have them sucked into the tank and become fish food or, stuff for your mandarin rather than being sucked up by your skimmer. So let's finish adding those in. So I'm gonna add a second baffle over here. Now this second baffle, so you got a nice big refugium, and this is your return pump area. The one thing that I just realized, I got to make a little cutout at the bottom here. So you want that area to be hollow so that water can flow underneath. So it's forced to fill through your filter sock. So there we go. So on your system, let's drag this back down. So we got 2 sumps connected, and they're connected with a 3-inch uni seal or bulkhead. Our overflow pipes come into the back chamber. It's going to fill in here. It's going to overflow into the filter sock. Your water is then going to flow underneath, so through the filter sock underneath this chamber into where you'll have your skimmer housing. Next, it's going to flow through that bulkhead or uni seal from one sump to the second. And next we'll have a refugium chamber, so you can have your chaeto, miracle mud, whatever you want to run in here. And finally, overflow into the return pump chamber. Now you got to look at the specs of whatever skimmer you plan on running and set your water height for that. So ideally, whatever height this baffle is, it's going to set the water level for this whole area. Now, given that you have a 40 breeder, 17 or 18 inches tall, which is a good amount of space. Now that is important because when you are looking at your tank above, in your display tank, you got your baffles where the water overflows out, so it flows through there, as well as your return pipe. Now, any water's gonna back siphon when your return pump turns off, you're in feed mode, any of that stuff, water's gonna overflow back over your overflow and drain out of your overflow box, as well as through your return pipe nozzle. So you gotta pay attention to how high or how low that is. Now, you gotta make sure your sump can handle all that, so it's always good to have lots of headroom in your sump. So we have, from this baffle all the way up. So that's a good chunk of water, and we should be safe. So just pay attention to that. Make sure your sump is high enough to take out that water. Some people do use like check valves, which can work great, but on the flip side, if a little snail, a little creature gets in there, your flap may not fully close, and if your power's out for a few hours, it may be slowly seeping water and raising your thing. So you don't want to get water on the floor. So Curtis, hopefully this answered all of your questions. If you have anything more specific, let me know. If any of you guys watching have any great tips on how you would change the design, or you got some other great ideas, put them in the comments below. And if you learned something, hit that like button. And if you haven't done so yet, make sure you guys are subscribed. And hey, if you got a question for yourself, head over to reefdudes.com/ask. Let me know and I'll answer it on the air. All right, guys, have an awesome day.